So, good evening. Tonight we have one of these type of videos here, and we want to take a closer look at the rims of the two versions they had for the US and the Japanese models and the differences on the other parts in the steering and suspension, which were also changed. And I will get to this here in a minute. First of all, I would like to say thank you to every subscriber. We made it over 1,000 subscribers, which means I can get a little bit of money from YouTube as people are watching the videos. It will not be much. I did it years ago when this channel was different. We're talking 8-10 years ago, and they first started doing monetizations on it. You didn't have to have 1,000 subscribers and this, that, and the other thing. And I would get $3-4 per month, and you have to earn $100 before they actually do a transfer into your bank account. So it took almost 1.5 years or something like this before I got my first $100 on the videos I had posted many years ago. They're long gone because of the quality of the camera, and the content wasn't really relevant, so I had removed them. It had nothing to do with the cars or anything like this. So with that, again, thank you very much for every subscriber. And this should be an interesting topic here. What we're looking at, a viewer, who I'm not going to mention his name, emailed me the pictures of these two rims. And he had asked me if I could clarify on which models and years these different rims were used. And if you are in Germany or any other country than the United States and Japan, you probably are familiar only with the left rim, which is the 7-inch width. And you probably have never seen the right one unless you have imported a W126 from the United States or from Japan. And you may have seen them when there were the newer models, that these rims are different if you looked at it. I hope that you did not put the larger tires on the smaller rims, because that would be a problem. Now, with that being said, let me give you the rundown real quick. The red one was used from model year 88 until the end of the 126. Now I'm talking the .039 US and Japanese version, and there are some exclusions in this, and I will get to that in a minute. And the left one are the standard ones for all other models and up to model year 87. This means the change for the US and Japan between these two rims was this one until the end of August 1987, and this one here from September 1st of 1987, when model year 88 started. And we have two part numbers for those. The left one is this part number here, which is 126400302. And now we can see that we actually had those on the 260-300, the Japanese ones, and the 300 SEL, all of them. US version 420, 420. See this, they're all, for all countries, for all regions, they were the same, including the USDL. And now, in order to understand this, the Mercedes Benz printout I got here out of my other computer, I had to take a screenshot because I cannot print this, goes by the VIN numbers. And that is the critical part to actually understand of which rims you have to use and which not. And I will get, there's one more rim where I have a separate part number which correlates to the second part number. And then we had the other one, that is the one with the red rim. This is the 12640041002, and here you can see these were only used on the USA and Japan versions from the 300, 420, 500 SE only the 500 SE for Japan, 560, 560 SEC, and the 350 SDL. And there were some exceptions in there from 86. Some of them used them already earlier, and some of them actually used them at a later point. So what you need to do on the US versions, if you import them or if you're here in the United States, you need to contact your dealer, a Mercedes Benz dealer, who can run the VIN number on your car and who has access to the Mercedes Benz parts database, which is this here. And as you can see, unfortunately in my database I have no scroll button. All of these part numbers I have in PDF format, so I have to sift through the file folders and find the PDF with this part number, and then I can actually see all the remaining VIN numbers here. And basically, since it is written in German, you can see that there's exceptions. And they say model year 89 up to A49506, with the exception of, and now they're picking actually individual vehicles. Each one of them is a VIN number. You can see this right here. I'm in this line where the little hand is. And these are all exceptions. So all of them had a different one. And in order to figure this out, you have to go to a dealership. There's just no other way around it. In order to have access to this database here to match up the VIN numbers. When I went to mbpartsource.com, that is a Mercedes-Benz dealership in Ohio. I forgot now in which town, and I put in my car, which is an 89 560. I have a 126.039 USA version, California. And this is the correct part number. It says this part fits your 1989 Mercedes-Benz 560 SEL. And you can see this, I have the 4102, which is the red one. This one here, I got the more narrow one, and then it says, discontinued product, no longer available for purchase. So Monday, since it is Friday evening now, I will send an email to Stuttgart, to the home office, and I will ask them if it is not for purchase, if they will send me a set for free, and then see what they're gonna say. No, I'm just kidding. Now, the reason why I printed this out is just to show you this. And the MB part source has that particular number here listed for all these models. You can go to mbpartsource.com, put in your car, your number, what model you got, and then you can see which rim will fit. If I run the, now of course I have plenty of paper here, and as it always goes, I may have put that paper second. No? Did I staple them all together? Ah, yeah. Here it is. So this is the ones here from 91 on, all the way down to 1988. And that would be September 1st of 1987. So if your car has in the A column the manufacturing month and date of September 1987 or higher, then you will need the red rim, which is the 4102 part number. That's this one here, and that says fits. If I do it with my car and I use the other part number for the green rim, the 3002, it says this part does not fit your Mercedes Benz 560 89. And you can see this on some of them. They use the wider rims on the 89 and 88 560 SL, so the R107. And then they had them up to 87. This is now all August. If your manufacturing date is 8/87 or August of 87, you will have the wider rims and earlier. And that will go through these models here I have listed from 86 on. So this is just what we got here to get some clarification in this. Now I double checked this with the actual parts list, which is group 40015 for the W126.039 USA version. And you can see our rim is 35 and I have under 35. This is now the German printout out of my parts catalog I have on my computer. And you can see this, that there was a earlier number. They had a 3402. Then it went to 3002 or 3002, and then it went to the 4202. There is no further information on the 3402. I have not been able to find anything on here. On the 3002, we have footnote 871, and on the 4202, we have footnote 880. And if we go to the very last page, which is all the way back here, we can now see, sorry that you couldn't see this, but that is kind of a little bit. So we had 871, where it says bis Ende Modelljahr 87, until end of model year 87. That is August 1987, and 880 up Modelljahr 88, starting with model year 88, which is September of 1987. So this is in the parts list. So all of this correlates. And the reason why is you cannot mount these here, the older ones, on the newer US or Japan versions, is because on the front, because of the shock. And what they did here is the same thing. The shock absorber has 1, 2, 3 part numbers for the 560. This is now again the 126.039 SEL USA, 560 SEL USA. And we have footnote 408 and 871, 408 and 880. And then we go again to the last page. I usually look, when I look at these parts lists, I usually go to the last page first, because this will tell you a lot, these numbers. And we had 408, only replaceable by pair. So you have to do both sides at the same time. Do not change them individually. 871 is the same up to the end of model year 87. And 880 from model year 88. So now on top of this, that we have 2 different rims, we also have 2 different shocks for the front. If you get the shocks mixed up with the rims, depending on your vehicle, then you're gonna have some form of vibration issues. And this is for the front, and for the rear, it is even more dramatic. This is now again the parts list for the rear shocks on my vehicle, which is the 126.039 560 SEL USA. The shock is 11. This is the one with the connection for the hydraulic system, for the self-leveling suspension. And here we have, was that 11? Yeah, 11 is the shock. And they call that a hydropneumatic spring leg. So that is not even called a shock anymore. Neither one of them are available. You can see this, there's 2 revisions. And here again, we have 871 and 880, 2 different part numbers. And we go to the last page. Here we have the same thing, 871 up to the end of model year 87, which is August of 1987, and 880 from model year 88, which is September of 1987. So the rear shocks are different as well, and they are no longer available. There's people who are rebuilding them, and they cannot be substituted in the US and the Japanese versions between the two part numbers, unless because of the rims. And now comes the real big thing. And this is the wishbone suspension in the rear, as you have guessed it. And here we got two different drawings for that. And here again we are at the 560 SEL, the 126 039, and we have control arm. And here we have this again, control arm, and you have the same notes, 880, 880, 871, 871, and then footnote 004. So they changed the control arms, the wishbone arms basically. And we can look this up. There's a whole bunch of parts. You can see how many pages I got. This is all associated with the rear suspension. And here we got it, 004, not for safety vehicles. I'm not quite sure what that means. And we have 871 up to end of model year 87 and 880 for model year 88. Again, this would be August of 1987. And the beginning is the September of 1987. The model year for next year always started at Mercedes Benz on September 1st, 1988. And because of all of this, these vehicles here, which have the smaller rims listed, and they have the statement in here where it says mit Ausnahme von. That means with the exception, this goes until ending number of the VIN 495806. And then these numbers here, these particular models, these vehicles which had those ended in those VIN numbers here, which are all listed to the right. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then, like I said, I couldn't scroll it. I have to print this whole document out in PDF to actually read all the exceptions of the VIN numbers. Do not have the modification. They will have the other version in there, the previous one. So there you have to be very, very careful, and you have to know, first of all, what your car is with the VIN number, whether it is excluded, whether you are falling under this category here for the 4102. Let me see if I can zoom this in here, 4102, or if you have to use the 3002 with the different shocks and the different wishbone arms or control arms. You see this, the wheel carriers are different. Basically every one of these here, 87, these are all the part numbers associated. The entire rear suspension changed basically. And these numbers here will tell you whether your VIN number was included, even though you had a newer, say like you had an 88 or 89. But if your VIN number is here in the exception, then you didn't have the newer version of the, or the revised version of the rear suspension shocks, and you would also have then the wider rims. So this is why you have to contact your dealer or a Mercedes-Benz dealer who has access to this database here, which they should have as a Mercedes-Benz dealer. This is basically when you do a part search for this, which they can do. They can then look this up for the particular model, you know, and then see what you got there and what not. And then you can make a decision, and then you can check the rims. This is what our viewer told me, or that's why he sent me the picture, is for one is you can see the height difference between the two. This is the red one is the 6.5 inches width, 7 inches width. They take two different sets of tires. My car has those, and my car came with Michelin's, and I know that there was a time when they used Pirelli, and I do not know if that was mounted, that they mounted the Pirelli tires and what size to this. But this is especially important for those, especially in Germany, who are re-importing the old Mercedes-Benzes, from the United States or from Japan, or if you live in any other European country and you're importing a US or Japan version with the rim sizes. Because if you accidentally have these ones on a US version on there, but you have not the correct documentation, or you go just to a tire store and they look the German version of your car up, they're going to come up with the 7 inches and that may not fit. That is just one thing. And the other thing is, if you have the older version of the vehicle with the other suspension system in there and shocks, and you mount the more narrow wheels on there by accident, you're going to experience vibration. And the same is true the opposite way. If you put these 7-inch rims on the newer vehicles, which have the modified control arms and everything else, the entire rear suspension, and the changed shocks, they will not work with these tires. You're going to have vibration there too. From what the viewer told me in his email, that was a very nice email, and I would like to thank him for it. And I also would like to thank his dad. They sent me all their nice pictures of their whole fleet of 560s and SELs and SECs and W124s and what have you. Nice people, really nice people. Is that they are experiencing vibration issues at the range of about 80 to 85 miles per hour, and he could not distinguish which rim would go onto what car. But like I said, is in order to work on this stuff, you really need to have all of this information here, which is all these part lists for your particular model in here. And then you would have to double check this, that not someone installed by accident the wrong shocks, especially the rear shocks with the hydraulic system in your in your car, especially on the newer versions. And I'm also not so quite sure on how well the non-hydraulic self-leveling suspension shocks work in on the rear suspension on the newer vehicles. If you have any questions, just post them in the comments. I will see what I can do, if I can answer them. Otherwise, I would suggest you contact your Mercedes Benz dealership and ask them in the parts department. And if they don't understand of what I'm talking about, or if they don't understand you may want to refer them to this video. And when they see the parts list and the global search I did, they will understand then of where they need to look at. Okay? And thanks again for the 1,000 subscribers, and you have a wonderful evening.